It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
And welcome to Nerd Breaking News. We are back from a little hiatus. We're here with some great news. We're going to be talking about two topics here in the NBA. Of course, right next to me, we have the Eagle. Under him, we have the Kid, and of course, the Professor as well. So, the first topic we're going to be talking about today is going to be Draymond Green and the suspension. He got 5 games because of his WWE move that he pulled off in the middle of that game. So, who wants to take that first?
I volunteer the Eagle.
All right, let's go.
Sure. Why not? Me, the Kings fan who clearly has something against Draymond Green. Hey, listen, why not? Is it a surprise that Draymond Green is going around NBA courts just trying to get other players in the chokehold and basically trying to stop the game or get an unfair advantage? And by the way, try to reach that 15 um, technical foul just to get suspended and not play the game? I'm not surprised. If anything, listen, Draymond, keep doing it because I guess the media covering the NBA is loving it. As far as me, I don't know, man. I'm starting to doubt your legacy with the Warriors. Whether you had a big role in those championships, because the way that you're going down the road right now, basically trying to transition to the WWE even before you leave the NBA is not working so well. We all know that I'm a Kings fan, and we all know what happened during the playoffs last year when they were facing the Sacramento Kings, and he clearly stomped over Demantis Sabonis' chest. He got suspended for 1 game, and I know the Kings didn't win the series at all. It was all thanks to Stephen Curry. But the problem is that I just developed a real hate for Draymond Green. I at one point in my life I thought he was a big part of what the GSW dynasty was. But every time that I see him play and I see his antics, the way that he handles himself, it's just insane. Okay, and to be honest, I'm not surprised about the 5 game suspension. If anything, I think it should have been more games to begin with, only because he's done this many times before. Regular season, playoffs, he's hitting other players in their private parts, stomping on dudes that are on the floor. Listen, guys, I think he's out of control, and I just don't want the situation to become um, the same situation as John Moran, right? Like I don't, I as much as I hate Draymond Green, I want to see him play, and for one reason only, because at the end of the season, I don't want the Golden State Warrior fans basically saying, "Oh, we didn't have Draymond Green focus, and we didn't have Draymond for this amount of games. That's why we couldn't make the playoffs, and that's why we couldn't get Stephen Curry another ring." No. I want them all there playing, specifically Draymond. So when they lose and they don't reach their potential, I can put the finger on Draymond Green. And those are my 2 cents.
Bro, this is so it's such a crazy event that happened, but let's be real. It's bringing fans. People are seeing it. This is entertainment for them. Everybody's just pretty much ready for Draymond mania, basically. No, that's all bullshit. This guy is fucking horrible for what he did. I am surprised that they haven't thought about getting him out of the league itself because it's too much. He's known for this kind of stuff. And at one point, something's going to get to the point where someone's going to get really hurt, and the NBA is going to be blamed for that.
I think that what makes it fascinating with Draymond Green is that before I go with my soliloquy against Draymond, he's that guy in basketball that he's playing with good players and he's talking a little too much, and the other players are scoring and he used to be when he was younger playing way better offensively and defensively. And then you keep going to the park, and he's still there playing with the same people, but everybody's older, and he doesn't even shoot the ball anymore. And he's that guy because we all play basketball with certain people like that, where he's yelling and he's screaming while other people are making shots, and you're like, "Yo, what? But you're trash. I don't understand that." Draymond Green, when he came out of Michigan State, I think it was 2012, right? Because Steph is 09 and then Clay's 11. He's 2012, Michigan State. You know, when he came out, especially as a role player and a bench player, within 2 years, by 2014, we were like, you know what? This Draymond guy's pretty good. He was a shooter, great defense. He was very integral to the 2015 season and the 16, the amazing regular season. What makes Draymond confusing and interesting at the same time is that he's changed a lot of the course of NBA history. And with the same thing like Dennis Rodman, right? Dennis Rodman was part of the Bad Boy 80s, the late Bad Boy 80s. And then he was very integral to the Michael Jordan last three-peat. Like, he wasn't on that team. I don't think they three-peat. As much as I love the great Michael Jordan, Draymond Green has an integral role in the history of basketball. Had he not done what he did in 2016 NBA Finals, they would have won the NBA Finals. Just they were up 3-1, and then he did that dumb foul in LeBron. He got suspended. The Cavs took advantage of it, and even though he came back, it wasn't the same. The juice was gone. If you don't believe me, you go look at the Spurs in 2014. Ray Allen hit that shot. Game 7, they were mentally fried because they're like, anyways, it is what 2013. But with Draymond, that's what makes it frustrating. Because they lost that series, they got KD, and he cried, right? Hey, KD, help us. And then what happened 2 years after they won 2 straight championships? He went and told KD, and he called him the B word, and that caused animosity between the team. And now KD left, and if KD would have stayed, they would have won 7 rings. And again, changing the trajectory of the Warriors. He's the guy that the Warriors, because he's done so much for the team, they put up with him, and they give him a lot of BS to go on now. He punched Jordan Poole. He caused KD to leave, even though KD wants to say it wasn't him. It was him. Let's be real. We all know it was KD and him. His ego is a little too much for his talent. He's going to be a Hall of Fame player because of his resume. It wasn't because of anything else. His resume dictates that he's the defensive player of the year. He has defensive All-NBA. It's horrible individual stats, but he's a 4-time champion. Should have been even more, by the way. I think that's the irony about Draymond Green, that we lament the fact that he should be better. But you know what's the funny thing about it? He should actually have 6 rings. He should have 7 if he just shut up, and KD would have been here, because KD knows it too. That was the worst mistake he's ever done, going to Brooklyn with Kyrie Irving. Nobody should be following Kyrie Irving, objectively. Like, he should have stayed in GSW. So the point is, to end my take, is this is not this. I agree with the Eagle. 5 games is not enough. I think it should be way more. And the NBA has done a great job ever since the Malice at the Palace in 2004 to minimize the perception, excuse me, that the NBA is that kind of league, and especially the olden days, the 80s and 90s. Draymond Green, somebody said the other day, oh no, it was recorded against the Timberwolves 2 days ago, where Ant-Man said, "Why are you acting tough? You don't need to act tough. It is what it is." And then you grab somebody behind their neck and try to choke them unnecessarily. What's going to get lost in transition about Draymond Green, to the Eagles' point, is that we're going to remember these things, and we're going to remember how he changed the NBA for the better or worse. And what makes it worse is that he actually is a good player. He's not trash. He's a good player. It's just, I think that within the last 5 years, he just said, all right, I'm not playing offense. It is what it is, even though I'm going to get other people involved. But even his defense has declined. So he's a declining NBA player who happens to be luck came to him that he got drafted with the greatest shooting backcourt in the NBA history, which they Clay and Steph. Because had he gone somewhere else, I don't think he's a 4-time champion. Had he gone, he would have been a good player, but he would have been a serviceable player. I don't think he's Hall of Fame Draymond Green. Everybody said this, even the media, the national media said this all the time, and I ended with this. He was fortunate enough that the circumstances with the Warriors allowed him to be the player that he eventually became. Because had he gone somewhere else, it doesn't work that way. Why? Because everybody tries to replicate what the Warriors have done. The Rockets, everybody's tried. The Kings, everybody. So, by the way, shout out to the Kings who are beating the Lakers by 20 with the return of Fox. But yeah, I'll leave it with that, Professor. But I'm just saying that that's the part that is a little annoying. is that one, he should have been a better player than what he is, and two, they just put up with it because I feel like GSW has to put up with that. I would have never. You know what? I'm gonna take that back. Jordan Poole is horrible in the Wizards.
All right. So with all of that, I'm going to go
Good
into
take,
all the
Tig.
parts we agree. Number one, Draymond should be suspended for longer. I think he should be suspended for 10 games. It's been going on for way too long, and that's facts. Number two, Draymond was lucky to be drafted by Golden State. Absolutely, because they unlocked skills in him that he didn't even know that he had. Now, I'm going to do the impossible. I'm going to defend Draymond Green. So one, when you're looking at Draymond Green, his ability to move the ball, if you were to consider him a point guard from time to time, the same way we do for your LeBrons and other players, he's by far top 10. To be frank with you, he's better at playmaking for other players than LeBron is, but people don't give him that kind of credit. Because the fact of the matter is, LeBron James has the ball, he's passing it too late. And it's always been that way, which is why his players almost always miss the last shot. They don't have the ball on time. Go back and look it up. It's a fact. Two, when you're looking at the whole instance of Draymond Green forcing KD out of Golden State, that's KD's narrative, but it's not the truth. The truth is KD was rumored to be shacking up with Kyrie Irving the entire season. And what ended up happening is what a coinky dink that it ended up being true. If you recall, the reason why they fought is because KD told Draymond Green that he wasn't good enough to hit the last shot. And Draymond Green said, "You're a guest here." And the fact of the matter is, KD was a guest there. And like a guest, he left when it was time for him to go. So that's one piece that often gets left out. The Jordan Poole thing. We cannot forget that supposedly Jordan Poole called him a, quote, expensive backpack. Let me tell you something. If somebody calls me an expensive backpack, they're getting knocked out. It is what it is. And also, let us not forget, let's ask a question. Was Draymond Green wrong in his assessment of who Jordan Poole is? We are literally seeing before our very eyes who Jordan Poole actually is. And that is the player that we saw him to be in the playoffs, shooting stupid shots, spinning around, and not even thinking about passing. Draymond Green was perfectly justified in knocking that boy out. I said what I said. Now, going back to this whole Rudy Gobert thing, why did Draymond Green put Rudy Gobert in a rear naked choke? The reason why, and I think it needs to be said, is because I think that Draymond Green was trying to protect Klay Thompson's confidence. The Golden State Warriors have moved heaven and earth for years to protect Klay Thompson's confidence. Once they saw Klay Thompson getting pulled around, Draymond was like, I got to do something, because if Klay loses confidence, he's not going to do anything for our team. Because as of late, what has Klay Thompson done for the Warriors? Nothing. They have put so much money and so much time into this guy, and he has done nothing for them consistently on offense. So I think Draymond's entire objective was just to make sure that Klay didn't get too in his head, get too sensitive. Oh my God, I got beat up on national TV by a player no one knows. That's what the whole thing was about. And putting Rudy Gobert in a rear naked choke, he's been dying to do that for years. So to me, Draymond wanted the suspension. Draymond wanted to protect his player. He did what he set out to do. I have no problems with it. 10-game suspension, though. That's my 10 cents.
Hold on. Let me counter one thing real quickly. Klay has a legitimate argument why he's not the same player. What's Draymond's reason?
Draymond's reason at the end of the day is, well, when you're looking at Draymond's role, where is he still amazing? Draymond is still one of the best playmakers in the entire league. If you put Draymond on almost any team, the team improves. To the Eagles' point, Golden State had no business beating the Kings, but for Draymond's Aton stomp on Sabonis' chest. Somebody got to do it, okay? At the end of the day, he's the guy who gets it done. And facts are facts. Did they get the W or no? That's what it comes down to. So the thing is, if you're looking at it, the question, even with his diminishing skill set, he is still one of the most effective players in the league. And now, going to TK Williams, I have a question for you, good sir. Would you rather have Anthony Davis on a bad day for your team or Draymond Green on a bad day for your team?
I don't want the headache.
You'd rather have AD
I'd
on a
rather
bad
have
day.
AD. I'd rather have AD.
Ooh.
Jay,
Mhm.
the problem is that Draymond Green has bad days. He doesn't
He
have.
does.
It's rare he has a good day. Anthony Davis still, Anthony Davis can still be an MVP type player. Draymond Green has a good day, dude. At the beginning of the season, it was like a week and a half ago or something like that.
Mhm.
He hit 2 consecutive games of threes to start the game, and the GSW commentators, the announcers were like, "Oh wow, he's making his shots." That's
Yeah.
how the standard for Draymond Green is so low, and he gets away with talking so much for a guy who's averaging. And I get it. To your point, that's not his role anymore. But Jay, he chose this role. He chose to be like, I'm just gonna be a passer now. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Has Draymond Green been the defender that he's been? When was the last time he was a defender?
When he 8-10 stopped with Sabonis. He almost killed Sabonis on national TV.
Yeah, but he's just but he's just trying to talk to Vince McMahon at that point. I'm talking about like actual basketball defense. He does.
Listen,
Jay, we haven't seen it.
No?
But we haven't. But no, hold on. But Steph Curry won that. That's a disrespect for Steph Curry. Steph
Let's
Curry
do
beat
my
the King.
stomp. Sorry.
Let's be real. Yeah. Sabonis is not his dad. First of all, come on. Let's just be real here. Steph Curry won that ring. I mean, excuse me, the Kings matchup. What? Go
Here's
ahead.
What I'm saying. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are little. They are small people. They are little. Before Draymond did what he did, they were beating the crap out of Steph. I seen it with my own eyes. When Draymond did what he did with his illegal screens and his 8-town stomps, all of a sudden Steph Curry woke up. They woke up the dragon. Here comes Steph. If Draymond isn't there, that does not happen. And we also can't forget who is the primary person that sets up Steph Curry shots. It's Draymond Green. Most people argue that Steph Curry isn't even a point guard because Draymond Green passes him the ball that often.
Well, you gotta do something in the team. It's not like you play defense anymore.
You're right. but here's my point to you. When you're looking at how Draymond Green moves the ball, here's the question. Who is the rest of Golden State's personnel, and do you care about them? So Kevon Looney. Does Kevon Looney play well when Draymond Green's on the floor? Better than he does when he's not there. Does Wiggins play better when Draymond Green is there? Better than when Draymond Green's not there. He improves what almost every player on that team does when he's on the floor. To your point, he scores
except himself.
Points.
Except himself.
You're right. But at the end of the day, he turned Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins. No,
hold on. No. Andrew Wiggins was coming around. Come on.
Coming around where?
Come on.
Before Andrew Wiggins met Draymond Green, if you heard that Wiggins was joining your squad, you were like, I'm done. There's no way. We're finished. Do you remember how bad Andrew Wiggins was?
No, to your point, that championship season justified his career because before that, this guy was horrible.
Terrible. Then he meets Draymond. All of a sudden, now he can rebound. Now he can set screens. Now he's shooting less shots, smarter shot. Draymond effect.
There was a tweet that came out that said, you know how you beat Draymond? You do a shooting contest.
Correct.
That's true.
Correct.
That's true.
He is allergic to shooting that ball.
He absolutely is. And I also point out that Dylan Brooks is the next version of Draymond. Now it's the exact same thing.
He can shoot better.
He can. He's the improvement. But now when you're looking at it, it's the exact same thing. When you're looking at some games, you're looking at the numbers, you're like, ew, PU, trash. But the fact of the matter is, W's. It is what it is. It works. Nobody likes it. I don't even like it.
I give Steph and Klay more of a percentage of allocation of the success of GSW than Draymond.
Klay can't even dribble.
I'm talking about like the history of the dynasty. The history of the dynasty, them two.
You're right. But here's my point to you. Klay literally cannot dribble. Have you ever seen Klay like the man can't dribble?
I don't know. Ask the Kings. 37 points in a quarter.
How did he get the ball?
Shouldn't the ball. If he made those 37 points, it wasn't because he was making layups or getting to the basket. That wasn't it. Clearly shooting.
Someone got him the ball.
That wasn't
Draymond.
Draymond. Come on, man.
Who was it?
No,
You know the man
no,
can't
no, no,
dribble.
no. But the professor has a point. Like obviously, but it's more to what has Draymond done that we know he did for the Golden State Warriors. And let's just be honest. It's like Sergio was explaining, right? And you too, the professor. It's clear that Draymond Green setting those picks, right, and dribble hand up so he can give the ball to Stephen Curry coming off a pick, and then Stephen Curry's defender going around, and you know what Draymond's gonna do? He's gonna put his body on the line. He's gonna throw an elbow to the fucking head. I'm so sorry that I said that. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I I got carried away. But that's what he does, right? He lets both Steph and Clay to get their open shots. And mind you, we're talking about open shot as open as the NBA allows, right? But that's why they're also superstars. So it's a great combination of guys running around, waiting for Draymond to set the right pick, dribble hand off, right? Get the ball, and then out of nowhere, I have a tight window. But because I am one of the greatest shooters in the NBA, that's money. And that's in tandem and working together with Draymond. Now, here's the funny thing. Granted, this guy Jordan Poole was calling Draymond a clown and whatnot, and you're an expensive bag and all of that, and it's kind of disrespectful because you're here and you're part of the Golden State organization and what it means because of what Steph, Clay, and Draymond did together, and
Backpack, bro.
KD to his,
Backpack.
also, right? So being called that is disrespectful, but at the same time, that's how you realize how much power and how much Draymond is valued at Golden State. That they basically said, yeah, we know that Draymond was the one who clearly, hit this guy, got him unconscious, and blah blah blah. But we're still training that guy. And let me remind you guys, that was the year that Draymond Green was a free agent. Golden State was really nervous at the possibility that some other team would come to Draymond and basically say, here's 40 millions a year for 2, 3, 4 years. Come to us, leave Golden State. You already won your championships. Make your own career. Show them and other people that you can make other teams better. Okay? And what Golden State did? No, 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 Draymond. No, no. We know that you you literally knocked out Jordan Poole. Okay? You knocked him out. It looked horrible. And by the way, you remember when Draymond Green did that interview in the press conference that he didn't even say, like, he was just there, just like Marshall Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined because clearly I will get fined if I don't say sorry. But he said it in such a way that's like, man, I don't want to be here. I don't regret kicking his ass, but it is what it is. We're here. Going back to the point, Draymond was so valuable even
don't get
today.
fined.
Right, even today, knowing that he's getting older, that he's never been a great shooter, that the only thing that he brings, if anything,
So I have a
is,
question for the Eagle.
hey, we're about to lose by 10, and you know what Draymond says? It's time to hit one other guy from the opponent team. Clay, he hits the other guy, and then I don't know where Steph and Clay. I'm like, oh my god, he's about to get ejected again. No, 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 we gotta win this game. It's time to get another ring. And that's what he does. It works. So for Golden State, listen, I would have done it as well. Trade, trade Jordan Poole. He's clearly not the best asset, right? Because it's being demonstrated right now. Washington is going nowhere. Jordan Poole is doing terrible. Okay, and at the end of the day, I think that Golden State made this realization. It goes back to what the kid was saying. The comparison to the Bulls and Rutman. Sometimes you just have that person, right? That when he's on the court, he's gonna do everything that you need him
Exactly.
to do and more to get the win.
Yes,
Outside of
and
the
that's
court,
fine. And there's nothing wrong with that being, scrappy and tough and creating that chaos in the court. You know, that's amazing. But the actions of actually taking something beyond the rules of what you can do by swinging at someone, choking someone out. Oh, there has to be a limit.
he goes a little bit too far.
Exactly. Well, let's go ahead and bring the next topic in. Brian Damaris, one of the Maverick announcers, said that that's not going to be anybody left because James, you are not the beard, you're not the system, you're the problem. What are we going to be talking
Oh,
about here? We're talking about James Harden's future in the NBA. Let's go ahead and give it right back to the Eagle.
this is so awkward. I don't even know what to say, right? We thought so high of James Harden at one point in his career. And that probably was maybe 3 years ago. That's when, or probably four, when we started questioning him and what's going on with him. Why is it that he never accomplishes what he's supposed to do? He was that dude during the regular season, averaging 30 points per game during the regular season, winning the scoring championship many times, competing for MVPs, right? Actually won one MVP, and here we are, 3 years later, basically questioning why am I getting James Harden teachers when he's changing teams every single year or every 6 months? And by the way, it's not on free agency. He's literally forcing his way out of teams. And by the way, teams that are actually good and have potential. We're talking about Houston, then we're talking about the Nets, and then we're talking about what was it, Philadelphia? Yes, teams
Mhm.
where actually a lot of players would die to play for those teams. But guess what? That's not James Harden. James Harden is a different dude. It's just like we were talking about Draymond. And what type of dude we're talking about? Well, listen, James Harden basically loves the strip clubs. He likes to party, and he likes, I guess, drinking and throwing onesies. Listen, man, we're not here to judge what do you like to do outside of the court, but at the same time, if you don't walk the talk, then we're not buying it as fans, and clearly the GMs are not doing it either. What's going to happen with James? I don't know. What I can tell you is that the Clippers, I don't know why they did that trade. They were doing the right thing, literally waiting on the Clipper, even though that it's only been a few games to start the season, but they were doing good, right? They had a winning record, which is something that they cannot say after they traded for James Harden. Okay, which is insane, right? Because think about the talent that they have at the Clippers, right? Kawhi, Paul George, Russell Westbrook still, and now James Harden, right? And then they have a good bench. They really do. And it hasn't clicked for them. Is it gonna click? I mean, there's a lot of games, right? Uh, and there's a lot of adjustments that they can make. I would suggest getting either James Harden and Russell Westbrook off the bench. Just do it. You cannot start those four people. It's just one ball, okay? It's just not gonna happen. And it's just sad because James Harden was that dude. He was making step back threes. He was getting MVPs consideration every year. We were talking about a dude who off the court was also doing great, right? If you didn't mention the strip club, it was fine. Signed by Adidas, had his own signature shoe. Okay, listen, guys, I was one of those who actually fell for that. I fell in love with the James Harden shoes. I have the Harden Volume 2. They're actually really nice shoes. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and I practice my step back and everything. But at the end of the day, listen, how somebody can go so high and then fall so it's obviously gonna be James Harden always taking as the example of this. Now, where the Clipper season's gonna go, I think it's imminent. They're gonna have to make another trade. And who's gonna leave? Who knows? Maybe it's gonna be the Draymond situation and the Jordan Poole situation. Jordan Poole was the victim, right? He literally got knocked out by Draymond Green, but guess what? You're the one getting traded. And I think the same's going to happen here. James Harden just got here, but guess what? Maybe Kawhi, you're on the trading block. Paul George, you're a valuable asset. We better trade you on the trade deadline than James Harden because guess what? Nobody's willing to trade for him. Only the idiots at the Clippers organization were. Okay, so I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be good for the rest of the teams in the West, especially the Kings, the Lakers, right? Because the Clippers were contenders at the beginning of the year. Okay,
Mhm.
and now clearly they're not. So it's to me just straight some other guy. Get your picks back, by the way, because the Clippers have no picks up to just straight. Okay, They traded first round picks, second round picks. They did pick swaps, and it goes all the way from 2028 first round picks to all the way to 2029 and 2030 picks. So they have no assets. Okay, they made a horrible decision, and they need to get that value back.
That's true. Kid, what do you think?
Um, love the rant by the Eagle. Here's the problem with James Harden. You said something really cool. You said something that at one point we all thought he was actually a great player, and he was. I think we all liked James Harden coming out of, I think it was Arizona State. Um, he was the sixth man of the year for OKC. I love that young OKC team. Like, was it 12 years ago, 13 years ago? That was such a cool squad with Ibaka, him, and Westbrook and KD. Um, they went up against LeBron and they lost, and KD. It was a good squad, and we didn't think that much of when he lost against 2012 squad, Miami Heat, when James Harden wet the bed. We didn't really think that much of it. We're like, okay, he just didn't show up because I think he was averaging in the teens, right? 17, 18 in the regular season. Then he really, the average really took a hit in the finals. And we should have took notice, even though we did. We kind of brushed it aside because he was only like a 2-3 year player. We should have took notice right there and then what became of James Harden, which is come playoff time, when the lights are on, this is not a guy you can trust. And then he got traded because they chose Ibaka not to pay the luxury tax, and they traded him to the Rockets. And I liked Harden back then, so I was like, you know what? Let me follow, see what he does in the Rockets, and he was amazing. Everybody, to the Eagles' point, everybody, he revolutionized the way you play basketball. There was a point where I think it was 18, 17, or one of those years where he was averaging so many points. He was a one-man show with the Rockets. But here was the problem, and and Kobe Bryant said this. The late great Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. He said this. You can look it up on Google. The style of basketball that James Harden does is not indicative to winning, and you can clearly tell with that. While he was a one-man show, and he was destructive, and everybody was like, "Oh man, look at the step back, look at this." There was a stat that came out that while he was dominating with the Rockets or during that period, where he went 6 consecutive games without an assist. That's a problem. Like it's him. It's James Harden. Apparently, I think that was the worst thing that could have happened is when they gave him the keys of the franchise after OKC and they said, "Hey, lead the Rockets." Because had he been a little bit different player with the Rockets, they would have beat GSW. They were up 3-2 in the Western Conference Finals against GSW, and then they played them again with KD. That team was loaded with the Rockets. If we go look at that roster, and Mike D'Antoni, who I've always liked. James Harden, ever since he left the Rockets, and he forced his way out of the Rockets, he forced his way out of the Nets, and he forced his way out of Philly. Oh, look at that. Philly's better. Oh, look at that. The Nets got a haul and have such a young nucleus that we like them, the Nets, now because they have a cool squad. The Rockets are better. The Rockets are better, the Nets are better, and the Philly's better. What's the common denominator? Oh, look at that. The Eagle just said it. The Clippers were better. It's you, dude. You don't play defense. You don't clearly you don't pass the ball unless it's somebody tipped it and it magically goes to somebody else. This guy still thinks it's 2018. These athletes, man, they have to start realizing. Look at Brady, right? Brady's best attributes was what? His intelligence and his arm. He wasn't going to outrun anybody, but he knew that his last 7 years, I have to be quicker in my release because I'm not as young as I used to be. I have to change the way I a little bit play. And this is the great Tom Brady. James Harden never adapted to the world. He just still did his traditional move that it always does. That eventually, look, last year with the Sixers, they were up on the Celtics. They could have won that series, and they could have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Heat. And who knows? They probably would have been the Heat or lose against the Heat. But Joel Embiid doesn't know. He's never gone to an Eastern Conference Final. But like Harden had an opportunity. And once again, like last year, and for it's indicative of his whole career, a referendum of his career, he chokes in the playoffs. James Harden is going to be a better resume T-Mac. That's it. I have the MVP. I have the numbers. I'm T-Mac. It is what it is. And the problem is, and because I know the professor's salivating for this as well, because the thing with James Harden, guys, is that James Harden could have been a champion 5 years ago. James Harden could have been something else, but he just didn't. He doesn't love the game as much as he loves like the Eagle was saying, the strip club. James Harden doesn't. When you don't play defense and you're in your 20s, are you really gonna play defense in your 30s? Like it's not gonna happen. And this Clippers team pre James Harden, I actually had them pretty high. I was like, hey, watch out with the Clippers. The team is loaded. Barring injury, the Clippers might do something. And and then on the post game talks, you're still talking about you're the what does he say? I am the system. What system, bro? Joel D'Antoni was that system in Houston. By the way, let's
Mm-hmm. He
OKC.
was.
OKC. That was Russ and KD be Batman and Robin, and you were the Flash coming in the last couple minutes, and you're getting your shots in. Like, what system are you referring to? Oh, you talking about the Brooklyn Nets? That horrible. That was one of the worst super teams in the history of basketball. And are you talking about the Philly, who's better than you? Tyrese Maxey looks like he has to be sending gift cards to James Harden. Because if James Harden was still in the Sixers, Tyrese Maxey his growth is stunned by the presence of James Harden. So if anything, dude, you are actually the reason why teams don't win. And unfortunately, his career is going to be, oh yeah, James Harden, he used to be good. Oh yeah, James Harden, he used to be an MVP. It's not going to be James Harden, two-time champion, one of the greatest shooting guards. He actually should be top 5 shooting guard if he actually cared about basketball in the history of basketball, and he's not.
Years plus, James Harden has been my least favorite player. It'll always be that way, and there is nothing that anyone can say that'll ever make that change. And I'll tell you why. For years, I have heard continuously that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors ruined basketball. However, the fact of the matter is, it was actually James Harden and the Houston Rockets that ruined basketball. I would proffer that James Harden did permanent damage to the point guard position in the NBA. There are so many point guards in the league that try to play like him now. Dribble, 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 and shoot the most difficult way possible just to get on ESPN. It makes no sense. Look at Bradley Beal,
They
for
look like they're
example.
playing. They look like they're playing NBA 2K out there.
It makes no sense. And the entire reason why they're doing it is so the move can be put in NBA 2K. It's obvious. You're looking at Bradley Beal, for example. Amazing scorer. Unfortunately, picks up James Harden's playing style, completely inefficient. When Kobe Bryant calls you selfish, you are a different level of selfish than we have ever imagined. The fact of the matter is, James Harden has always been the problem. And I have argued about this man for years, and I'm tired. I'm tired of looking at him. I'm tired of watching him play. Because the fact of the matter is, he shoots these step backs when he doesn't have to. He shoots these sideways shots when he doesn't have to. He over dribbles when he doesn't have to. He sets no screens. His arms are ridiculously long. He doesn't rebound. He barely steals the ball. He doesn't do anything that's conducive to his team winning. If it doesn't get him ESPN, he doesn't want to do it. At the end of the day, James Harden and his entire playing style are the problem with NBA basketball. And unfortunately, you see Jordan Poole caught the Hardenitis too. And now he's doing the same crap. The best thing for the league is to get him out. Because how are you going to be that big and play no defense? That man is big. He gets at a screen. He wouldn't even feel it. Doesn't bother. And the fact of the matter is, people are like, oh my God, he's gassed during the playoffs. He's not gassed. How are you going to be gassed from not doing anything? He's literally just lazy. Because at the end of the day, if you don't play defense day after day, game after game, when the pressure is actually applied, now you're going to play defense. So when the time comes, he goes, oh, well, I guess Clint Capella will handle that. Then poor Clint Capella, Harden told everybody everything was his fault. Clint Capella goes to Trae Young. Harden 2.0 basically told the exact same thing. And I'm done. I'm done with Harden. I'm done with the playing style. I'm done. That's all I got.
Man. You know what? Like you guys touch everything that I was gonna say. Even him, bringing in, requesting to have superstars come play with him, and all he does was like completely take those superstars, ruin a part of their career,
Ruins them.
and wasted their time there. Dwight Howard's an example. Chris Paul wasted time over there.
Chris
Who
Paul.
else was it? Russell Westbrook. Like what have they done when he was with James Harden? They didn't do anything.
Because it was all their faults. It was all their faults every time, bro.
Mhm.
All their faults every time.
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
I think his future is going to be because that's the question, right? What's his future?
Yeah.
I think his future is pretty clear, and it's going to be nobody's going to take you serious. Nobody's going to offer you this massive contract that you think, even though Morey probably screwed him over, right? They probably had like off the record conversation. Hey, we're going to sign you a multi-year deal, and Morey was like, "Man, this guy's not who he used to be." Irrespective of all that, and let's say he did get screwed, whatever. His future is pretty obvious now in 2023. You know what that is? He's going to China. He's gonna Stephon Marbury route, and that's something. And there's no shame on that. Stephon Marbury's a god over there. He had a couple of rings. Um, Dwight Howard did amazing going over there. So it's like nobody in the he has become a joke in the NBA. To the professor's point, he's actually a detriment to what these young kids, because they were growing up seeing him win MVPs and statistics and all that stuff, and that's going to get you the highlights. Because how many times have we seen highlights of when he was in the Rockets? But a step back and he destroyed somebody right in their face. So it was like, oh man, that's pretty dope. That when you go play basketball, what are people doing? They're trying to be like Steph Curry and doing the step back. We got to give him credit for that. But the problem is that that's a comma, and the comma is that yeah, dude, you went to the Western Conference Finals. I don't remember you in the NBA Finals. The only NBA Finals you went to was the same one, Russell Westbrook, and you both lost. So again, he's just a better resume T-Mac. T-Mac, man, I don't want to get started on T-Mac because I won't start. T-Mac, I'm still waiting to see what was the hype on T-Mac, but that was years ago. With James Harden, it's going to be wasted talent, wasted potential. Because if you look at the top 5 shooting guards in the history of basketball, Mike, Kobe, Dwayne are automatically the 3.
T-Mac to compare him to Harden.
Nah, because T-Mac. Because the thing is, when T-Mac is 0 and you're a 1, you automatically beat T-Mac. T-Mac, when he was a Magic, right, and he was destroying those statistical numbers, and he was an all-star and all that stuff, everybody was like, "Oh my God, T-Mac! Oh my God, T-Mac!" He didn't do anything in the playoffs, and he was in the Magic when the Eastern Conference wasn't exactly doing anything. And then he went to the Rockets with Yao Ming, who was not a scrub. People think that he was a scrub. He was not a scrub. Yao Ming was actually dunking on Shaq back in the day. And you couldn't go far. And the Rockets, and again, it's one of these things where it's going back to James Harden, what you said earlier, Professor. They baby James Harden when he was a Rocket from 2012 to 2020 when he left. They basically said, kind of like Russell Westbrook and OKC, right? Here's the king. All right, KD left. It's your show. We do whatever you want, X, Y, and Z. And the problem is, and that's where I got to give it to the mama mentality. If these guys were actually serious about basketball, these guys are champions now because they're both amazingly talented people. It's not like they're trash. It's just that when you see Russ and him play, there's something off. It feels like they're being selfish the way they play basketball. And that's why we love the fact when you see these selfish players, like Steph, LeBron, all these people, you're like, you know what? And we respect Kobe because Kobe literally would work out. That famous Allen Iverson story, right? Like, I'm dropping in Iverson off of the club. I asked him, where are you going? It's 4 a.m. I'm going to the gym. That's Kobe Bryant. James Harden wasn't hitting the gym at 4 o'clock. He was hitting the chicky wings. So, I don't know, man. It's just wasted talent.
Alone. Take this.
It's true. All right, so we'll go ahead and call this for this episode. Once again, thank you for joining us. Go ahead, hit the like, follow, subscribe. Once again, the kid, the ego, the professor, and myself. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. This was Nerd